This is going to be part 15 of Federalist number 10. Let me just go ahead and start from the beginning of the paragraph. The second expedient is as impracticable as the first would be unwise. As long as the reason of man continues fallible and he's at liberty to exercise it, different opinions would be formed. As long as the connection subsists between his reason and his self-love, his opinions and his passions will have a reciprocal influence on each other. Meaning, if there's something reasonable that he's come to, and on the other side, on the opposite side, his passion has taken over and he's come to another conclusion, those will stand in front of each other. Those will oppose each other. Those two different ideas will be formed. And the former will be objects to which the latter will attach themselves. The diversity, the diversity in the faculties of man from which the rights of property originate is not less an insuperable obstacle to a uniformity of interests. Okay, this is going to be very important, so I'll read it a couple of times. The protection of these faculties is the first object of government. From the protection of different and unequal faculties of acquiring property, the possession of different degrees and kinds of property immediately results. And from the influence of these on the sentiments and views of the respective proprietors ensues a division of the society into different interests and parties. So here is one major part that he's going to be, or they're going to be talking about in the Federalist Papers. This is the division. This is the beginning. He's talking about the beginning of divisions, whether it's class or group or political interests. This is how in a society it is formed. These class differences, these differences of interests, these different political parties reflected by them. He is talking about where this thing begins. Okay, let me read this again to you. The diversity in the faculties of men from which the rights of property originate is not less an insuperable obstacle to a uniformity of interests. The protection of these faculties is the first object of government. From the protection of different and unequal faculties of acquiring property, the possession of different degrees and kinds of property immediately results. And from the influence of these on the sentiments and views of respective proprietors ensues a division of the society into different interests and parties. Okay, I have already mentioned this work, Making of the American Self, okay, by Daniel Walker Howe. There are 2 chapters in there, chapter 2 and 3. I highly recommend you read it because he talks about this faculty psychology. He tries to make sense of what they meant 2 centuries ago when they were writing these Federalist Papers about faculty. He mentions the importance and the influence of Scottish philosophers Scottish Enlightenment philosophers on American thinkers at the time of the founding of the United States. So make sure you get these chapters. I'm sure they'll be written later on. They'll be ready as PDF or something like that if you can't even get the whole book. It's a great book. But make sure you read that. That probably is one of the it does a great job, better than a lot of other books that I've seen talking about this faculty, the word faculty, and faculty psychology and what they meant at the time. So let me try to maybe explain it in brief. We use the word faculty right now for instructors, for professors in a university or in colleges, okay? And sometimes we hear the word as faculties of mind, okay? Like mind and thinking. That's still applicable, that still works. However, at the time, 2 centuries ago, they believed there were at least 3 main categories of faculties. One was reason. You reasoned about things. That would sit it would be at top of the hierarchy. It would be at the top of these faculties. You would reason, see what's best for you, reason and rationality. The other main category of faculty would be prudence. Prudence as in self-interest, but in a good way, not in a selfish way, but what you would do that would be prudent for you, that would be good for you, or prudent for maybe for society, what would be good for the society. And the other of these 3 main categories of faculty would be passion. And passion usually had a